Are there any things you would like to clarify or apologize for? I've had to live and say I was wrong to say that. I didn't mean that. But is there anything you'd like to clear up before people finish voting today? And secondly, can you commit to doing something about the mice? We almost lost Mika this morning.
I know.
About a mouse.
Oh, my God. There was one in here.
No. Yes, Mom Donnie in the room on MS-13 DNC this morning with the always reliable Reverend Al Sharpton. Such an eloquent journalist is he. Absolutely extraordinary. Well, I should mention, I have to mention this, because I'm wearing a T-shirt today that I received here at the radio station as a gift last week by way of, I think it was the U.S. Mail. It might have been another carrier. But I think it was the U.S. Mail, and it's a T-shirt. Nice listeners had a T-shirt made for me and sent a nice note along, too. Now, the T-shirt is a black T-shirt. It's a black T-shirt. It's like a regular. It's a nice, high-quality cotton T-shirt. It is. Feels very good. And on the chest, in large white print, it says, "My best girl went to Ouagadougou, and all I got was this lousy T-shirt." But in the middle of, just below the word Ouagadougou, and above all I got was this lousy T-shirt, there is an image of, I think it's an African pygmy. I'd say it's a pygmy. They say it's a kind of dancing pygmy, and a little fella got some leaves around his waist, and he looks very cheerful. He's got a bone going through his hair on the top of his head, and that's more or less all he's got. He's got some kind of a hoop around his neck of flowers and a bull's head or something like that. But yeah, my best girl went to Ouagadougou, and all I got was this lousy T-shirt with a dancing African pygmy in the middle of the thing. And I thought, what a fun T-shirt. Isn't that nice? And I got to say, my best girl and I, over the weekend, I wore it over the weekend, and then I ran it through the wash because it's brand new, and I wore it, and I threw it through the wash. And you just want to give a good T-shirt a good washing. And that's so I could wear it again to school today. I could wear it to the radio station today. And now I'm wearing my best girl went to Ouagadougou, and all I got was this lousy T-shirt. And that's very, very nice. Very nice T-shirt. And the man that sent it along, or the men that sent it along, included a nice note, too. And I don't like to use entire names because, there are security issues related with all that. But it's from Mr. Jim R. I'll just say Mr. Jim R. And he said, I thought of this and thought you would like it. My brother Barry and I had it made for you. Enjoy. And it's signed Jim. Very nice. On his personal stationery with his name on the top, Mr. Jim R. And very nice. I don't want to give away the whole name, but Ouagadougou. And this emerged, of course, because we had a caller about 2 weeks ago, you may remember, and he said that we should move, I believe it went like this. He said we should move the United Nations headquarters to Burkina Faso. It's a country in Africa. He said we should move the United Nations to Burkina Faso. They might be better suited there rather than New York City. And I said, talking to the nice man, the nice listener, a fun suggestion, moving the United Nations to the African nation of Burkina Faso. And I said, well, do you know what the capital of Burkina Faso is? And he said, no, I don't. And I said, well, it's always been maybe my favorite world capital because it's called Ouagadougou. And what's more fun than that, Ouagadougou? And so we had a laugh, and my wonderful, smart listener who wanted to move the United Nations to Burkina Faso, and I got to whip out Ouagadougou, which I've been doing for a long time now, for decades, because it's my second favorite world capital is Ulaanbaatar. Ulaanbaatar is kind of fun, too, but Ouagadougou is my favorite, and you can look at the word and say, exactly how do you pronounce that now? Because it's Ouagadougou, right? So naturally it reads Ouagadougou, and it's a fun T-shirt and a high-quality T-shirt, too. It is. And wore it over the weekend, gave it a good wash in the washing machine and dryer, and now I'm wearing it to school today, so that's fun. Around here we call this school. You know, are you going to be at school tomorrow? And yeah, you want to do something after school on Friday? We should do something because we have the brains of children, I think, is the explanation for that. But isn't that wonderful? Yes, it is. Yeah, nice T-shirt. So I want to say thanks for that because it's fun. It's fun. The Ouagadougou T-shirt. Wearing it out in the street in Washington, D.C. might be considered provocative depending on where you are. But then again, who cares? So that's a lot of fun. But I wanted to say thanks, and I'm enjoying the T-shirt, and I'm sure that I will for many years to come. Isn't it wonderful? All right, let's get back to Election Day Madness. Election Day Madness. Yeah, and I shared pictures. I took pictures of it and shared it on our group text thread, didn't I, the other day? And I did a tight shot of the African pygmy dancing with his leaves and all that stuff. Isn't that great? Yes, it is. Lots of fun. All right, we do have more audio to get to, and the news just keeps on happening while we're here as well. Man, oh man. Yeah, and my friend Jeff, he was listening to the radio show, and our nice caller, David, said he voted for me and Alexander to become sheriff. And my friend Jeff said, "Oh, you got to have a TV show, right? Like the Andy Griffith show, be the Chris Griffith show, and then we'd have to bring in Barney Fife, like Karen Gomer and Goober and Otis Campbell, Otis the drunk, and then we could have big fun television show. I think. Hey, wait a minute, there it is. You just passed the picture along. Michael Piercy has the picture. You already put it on the Twitter? Oh, is that right? Michael put a picture of the T-shirt on our Twitter, our Twitter right there at Chris Plant Show Twitter. The picture of the front of the T-shirt says, "My best girl went to Ouagadougou with a dancing African pygmy," and all I got was this lousy T-shirt. Big fun. Yeah. And what do we say? We say thanks to Jim. That's what we say. Because that's pretty funny stuff. Anytime you get to use the word Ouagadougou is, that's a good time. Yes. And Mr. Jim sent it along, so that's pretty good stuff. That's a fun. I am telling you. Crazy out there. All right, let's get back to some audio because what with the elections going on in New York and New Jersey and Virginia and in Minneapolis and beyond, and the Democrats are running a lot of socialists who are actually communists. They're totalitarian. They're fascists. The daylight between fascism and communism is a very slender slice of daylight. The difference between Joseph Stalin's Soviet Union and Adolf Hitler's Nazi Germany, which was the Socialist Workers' Party of Germany, very, very slender difference between the two. I've told this story before, but it's a wonderful story because on one of our sea cruises, one of our great people came along and of Polish descent. And as a young man, he spent a lot of time with his grandmother, and his grandmother fled Poland because the Soviet Union had taken over. And as a young girl, she had Poland was conquered by the Socialist Workers' Party of Adolf Hitler. And then when the Socialist Workers' Party of Hitler was driven out, the communists came in, the Joseph Stalin's people came in, and the man who came along on our sea cruise, he asked his grandmother, "Grandma, what was the difference between living under the Nazis of Nazi Germany and the Soviets of the Soviet Union?" And Grandma paused and thought about it for a second, and she said, "The flag." That was the difference between living under the Nazis and living under the Soviet Union in eastern Poland. I remember that she lived in eastern Poland. And it's true. And now these people are repackaging and selling socialism as though it's a good thing. The USSR was the Union of Soviet Socialist Republics, and Adolf Hitler's party was of course, the Socialist Workers' Party of Germany. And so it's honestly the Socialist Workers' Party of Germany, and the Socialists Union of Soviet Socialist Republics in the USSR. And now the Democrats are repackaging all of that and selling it again. And they have jihadis doing it in New York, in Minneapolis, and beyond. And Bernie Sanders has been pitching this stuff for a long, long time, too. Isn't that something? Yes, it is. And the Islamists, again, the Islamists that were captured by the FBI in Michigan, that were plotting what they called Operation Pumpkin to carry out mass murders in Michigan. Turns out they were planning on targeting gay bars. And the Democrats like, oh, we're open-minded, so we love jihadis living among us, and we vote for them in New York and in Minneapolis and all that good stuff. And in New Jersey, too, of course, the governor's race going on there between Mickey Sherrill, the Democrat woman, and Jack Ciattarelli, the Republican man. And he's on the side of everything that is right and good and true, and she is not. Yeah, the Democrat Party. Political extremism is back. We call it the Democrat Party. They say, oh, we're Democrat socialists and democratic socialists. And socialist is the key word there, because nobody's murdered more people and wrecked more stuff in the history of humankind. And they did it in record time, less than 100 years, murdered 100 million people, enslaved billions between the Soviet Union and the Chinese communists. And they spread their communism to North Korea and to North Vietnam. And then the Democrats handed over South Vietnam to the communists. Democrats here in the United States did. But never mind that. Let's go to President Trump's soundbite number 7, because he phoned in to a political rally, and I played it for you earlier in Virginia. He also phoned in. He didn't fly there and go walking in and inconvenience thousands of people, but he did phone in to the rally in New Jersey for Jack Ciattarelli.
Jack Ciattarelli is a businessman and a public servant who has devoted his life to the people of New Jersey. He really has, too. He loves the state. He's fighting for lower taxes, lower prices, lower cost of living. Mikey Sherrill will send New Jersey into a death spiral, deficit spiral, and jobs and businesses are going to flee the state. And there is a business going to flee the state. There are already businesses fleeing New York. In fact, who was it? I saw a video yesterday of people on the man on the street interviews and women on the street interviews in New York City, and people talking about how many people are fleeing the city and leaving the city. People they know are leaving the city, and they don't want to be there because everybody's assuming that the communist jihadi is going to become mayor of New York because the Democrat Party promoted him. And CARE, the Council on American Islamic Relations, promoted him. And we played audio earlier of another jihadi woman who self-describes as a Democrat, saying that they have been promoting and backing this lunatic communist jihadi, democratic socialist running for mayor of New York, and CARE, which unindicted co-conspirator Holy Land Foundation. They're affiliated with radical Islamic terror, and they've been promoting him behind the scenes and raising money for him. And then they started admitting it. Isn't that amazing? Jack Ciattarelli ought to be the next governor of New Jersey.
This is an honor for what I'm going to say right now, that you don't know what I'm going to say right now. But your biggest supporter that serves his country just came over overnight to serve you.
Uh-oh.
Who's here? Jake, your father, your son.
And here comes his son, an Army captain. Looked like he's about 6'7" in his camouflage uniform. Just flew in from Kuwait, where he is stationed. See this? This never happens at a Democrat Party gathering. This was in a bar, in a nice-looking Irish bar. It looked like a fun Irish bar. And everybody was having a great time, and they're all on the side of America. And that will never happen at any of these Democrat rallies. Their sons don't come home from the war zone. Mikey Sherrill, she doesn't have anybody. They're not on the side of America. They're jihadis. You know. Did you know that the all-new third-generation Eden Pure Thunderstorm air purifier has finally arrived? And the third generation builds on the incredible success of the previous two generations, which had already earned thousands of five-star reviews on Al Gore's Amazing Internet and instant bestseller. The new Thunderstorm third generation uses two technologies that studies have demonstrated help to kill up to 99.9% of bacteria and of viruses floating in the air that you breathe at home, that your family breathes. It also removes dust and pet dander and smoke and all kinds of stuff from the air that you breathe, and it gets rid of any stinky odor. You also don't have to buy filters to replace over and over again. They're self-contained units, really smart units. Great technology. The Thunderstorm will get rid of any stinky smell guaranteed. Talking about kitty litter boxes and trash cans, cigarette smoke. Liberal protesters might have one in the family somewhere. Musty basements, no match for the Eden Pure Thunderstorm. And right now, because we hang out together, you can save $200 American when you get an Eden Pure Thunderstorm 3-pack for whole home protection. Put one in your basement, your teenager's room, your kitchen, your family room, any place you like to breathe clean, fresh air. And all you have to do is go to EdenPureDeals.com. Use the discount code CHRIS3, C-H-R-I-S, and the number 3 to save $200 on 3 Thunderstorms because we are friends. That's EdenPureDeals.com. The discount code is CHRIS3. Not so bad. Good stuff. All right, lots more coming up. We have about 40 minutes remaining in today's broadcast. Want to be right there. And that criminal, Hakeem Jeffries, he's out there again. He's a crazy man. Let's go back to the telephones. If you have not voted today, today's election day, it might even be your last chance. Crazy. Vote for America. Don't vote for a lefty. Let's go to the telephones, Michael. Let's go to Christopher, calling from Lake Ridge, Virginia, which sounds very, very nice, doesn't it? Christopher, you are on the Chris Plante Show.
Hi, Chris. I just have a brief thing that wasn't on the subject you're doing today, and I appreciate you taking the call.
Sure.
We've been seeing. I'm going to Dakar, Senegal tonight to spend a couple of days on the beach, and I told my colleagues on email I'm fleeing Trump's mass starvation that he somehow had time to implement with all these peace deals and trade deals. But the news keeps showing these bureaucrats, it's about federal employees or food banks, and I know that when the shutdown ends, the next payday, they get every stinking dollar that they missed in those 35, 30, 40 days, whatever it's going to be.
Uh-huh.
How many of those bureaucrats do you? First of all, if you haven't missed a paycheck in the last 10, 20, 30 years, what the heck? Is your pantry empty? Is your fridge empty? Is your bank account empty? How irresponsible are you? 2, if you go to a food pantry and you take money that other people paid for, when you get that giant government check at the end of the shutdown, are you going to take the hundreds of dollars, whatever, worth of food? Are you going to go back to that food bank or that Christian ministry or whatever and pay them? How many bureaucrats do you suppose? I've got to guess it's about 0, but...
Fun stuff. Hey, have fun in Dakar. I want to hear back after. Oh, I got to tell you. In New Jersey, a bunch of bomb threats have been called into polling places. And Zohran Mamdani, who is not running for office in New Jersey, but he wants to be the communist in charge of New York City, and a lot of Democrats want that too. And the jihadis in particular, they're the jihadis and the commies, they like that. But Zohran Mamdani was asked, hey, what about these bomb threats that have been called in New Jersey because it looks like a Republican might win the governor's race? And you'll never guess what Zohran, the jihadi, Mamdani, the commie, what he said in response to this. Hey, bomb threats being called in to polling places in New Jersey. Whose fault is that?
Incredibly concerning. And I think that it is an illustration of the attacks we're seeing on our democracy. Sometimes they're blatant and explicit in the manner of these bomb threats. And we have to understand this as part of the general approach the Trump administration has taken to trying to intimidate voters with baseless allegations of voter fraud as a means of trying to repress the voice of Americans across this country.
As he launches baseless accusations of Donald Trump having to do with bomb threats being called into polling places in New Jersey, and he is running for mayor of New York. He's a bomb-throwing, suicide vest-wearing, AK-47 toting radical. He's an extremist, and he blames Trump. He blames Trump. Isn't that amazing? For bomb threats being phoned in to New Jersey polling places where Democrats are afraid that they might lose the governor's mansion. Isn't that amazing? And keeping in mind, of course, that since Zohran Mamdani came back into it, anti-Semitic activist Linda Sarsour, she is out there bragging that the Council on American Islamic Relations and other radical extremist Muslim Islamist groups have been funding Mamdani behind the curtain. Isn't that amazing? Yes, it is. Hey, and Mamdani, several Muslims were arrested in Michigan in the last couple of days. They were plotting to perpetrate a mass murder at gay bars in Michigan. Let me guess. Trump's fault? Probably Trump's fault. Isn't that amazing? Yes, sir. They're all insane. And how many of them are planning on crawling across broken glass to go vote today? Because that keeps coming up. And they are really mentally ill. And all the imagery is blood-drenched and violent. And aren't they crazy? Again, there was a story, and who was it? Michael, a college professor, who said that he would crawl across broken glass to vote against Trump, even though Trump's not on the ballot, which means you're mentally ill and probably shouldn't be allowed to vote. Probably shouldn't be voting if you're that mentally ill, if you're that deranged. Also, a guy out of Florida who goes by Joe Albanese, posting in public online. He says, I live in Florida. I'm a senior citizen. I want to thank President Trump and Governor DeSantis for not caring whether I live or die. That's a mental illness example number one. But if I am alive in November, I will crawl naked over broken glass smeared with COVID virus in order to vote against Trump and every Republican I see. And that's it there. It's the broken glass thing. Right? And then there was another, a college professor who said that he would crawl across broken glass to vote against Trump, even though Trump's not on the ballot. Trump derangement syndrome is very real. And then Zohran Mamdani, Jihadi Kami, he is blaming Donald Trump based on zero even jihadi evidence, zero communist evidence. There's no reason to suggest, but he blames Trump. You know, maybe you guys should stop shooting people like Trump, who was shot by you people, just by the way. Man, oh, man. And then you see the Speaker of the House holding press conferences, and who's behind him? But Steve Scalise, who was shot and nearly killed by a Bernie Sanders campaign volunteer. Isn't that amazing? You know, Martin Luther King Jr., the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., was shot and killed in Memphis in 1968 by a Democrat Party campaign volunteer, James Earl Ray, who had been campaigning for Democrat racist Governor George Wallace, and just a couple of weeks before he shot and killed Martin Luther King in Memphis. But never mind that. The Democrat Party, aren't they amazing? And in Minneapolis, they've got another jihadi running for mayor there, Omar Thatta, and he is out there being endorsed by who? By Ilhan Omar, who comes from a family of communists in Somalia, and her father, the colonel, was massacring tribals in Somalia. Then they had to flee when their communist government was overthrown. And she came to the United States, and she's not very grateful at all. I think that's the bare minimum you can say about that. These people. Can I just say? These people. Yes, sir. Now, I see this, and I've got to go to this to the telephone call, and I've got more audio that I must get to as well, and more stories. But I love this broken glass stuff. They're all out of their minds. Yeah, Newsweek, they're full of lunacy today. There's this is from last year leading up to the presidential election. And another Newsweek story, can the quiet Kamala Harris voter carry her across the finish line? Meaning nobody liked her. So maybe they're a secret, quiet Kamala Harris's voter. But in this one, too, from last year, they had the crawling across broken glass thing again, because at least Trump was on the ballot then. But isn't that amazing? Crawling across broken glass. And they say it like it's a recreational thing. But let's go to the telephones again. Let's go to Don calling from Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Oh, Don, you're on the Chris Plante Show.
Hey, Chris, how you doing?
I'm great. What do you say? I had to go to you. I saw you up on the big board. And one of my great friends for the last 35 years is named Don and lives in Milwaukee. But I just go, is that Don? And it's not the same Don. But Don, you're in Milwaukee, and that's good enough for me.
Hey, I got an idea. I never heard anybody talk about this or suggest this. You know, Senator Kennedy is one of my favorite senators. That guy's amazing, and his wit is tremendous.
The current John Kennedy, right? Yes, the living Senator John Kennedy. Yeah, he's great. Yeah. Now
he was talking about all the wasteful stuff with the budget. $190 billion for illegals. Now they want $1.3 trillion. Stuff in the Balkans, stuff in Zaire, stuff in Afghanistan, queer dancing down in Haiti. Condoms and circumcisions down in Haiti, someplace in Africa, and the student loans paid back. The people that have built this country for the last 50 years are senior citizens. We do something they can do for the senior citizens. I think this is a great idea. Take some of this money. I don't know what it costs. Maybe, $5 billion, $10 billion, whatever. Any senior citizen that has worked all his life and saved his money for his retirement, living his golden years, that got scammed out of his money, pay him back. If they can prove they were scammed out of their retirement, pay these people back so they can live their sunset years, without going back to work at 75 years old, 77. We got one guy, 85 years old, where I work, because he got scammed out of money. What do you think of that idea?
Well, it's, if the Democrats are as they are, holding the entire country at gunpoint, gun to the head, demanding $1.5 trillion. And you're right, and Senator John Kennedy did tick off a lot of them, including circumcisions in Africa that we're paying for, and AIDS treatments all over Africa, and all these, and transgender surgeries for illegal aliens. I think Michael's making a face at me. I think he grabbed Senator John Kennedy's soundbite.
$4.2 million for lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, queer, and intersex people in the Western Balkans and Uganda. I could spend the rest of the afternoon here.
Exactly. But, this would benefit Democrat senior citizens, too, that were scammed out of their money. It's not just Republicans. This would help every senior citizen, Republican, Democrat, that was scammed out of his money. And it can't be that much money that they're talking about. We're talking about $1 trillion, even $190 billion for illegals. I think it's a great idea. I have never heard anybody bring it up. I have written, Scott Fitzgerald, who was my representative. I've written Ron Johnson, Senator Ron Johnson. I've written Nancy Mace. I've written Waters. I've written Sean Hannity. I've written a lot of people. I don't have a platform for this, but I know you have a platform. I know you have a platform. You can get. I think Donald Trump would love this idea.
Well, it's a very interesting idea, and our platform is your platform today, Don. And it's a very interesting idea. You say you work with a man who's 85 years old, and he somehow got ripped off, got robbed, was scammed out of money, and now he's traumatized and in a very bad place because he was robbed, presumably by Democrats or illegal aliens or princes in Nigeria or something like that, getting scammed out of everything, and that's horrible. And how do we deal with a crime wave like that? And it is a crime wave, and I got to tell you, the Democrats, they'll bail out anybody as long as they're illegal alien gang members, child sex traffickers, fentanyl and cocaine traffickers. The Democrats will bail them out every time. But you're right. If you've got a hardworking American 85-year-old who's just been robbed of everything, the Democrats would shrug and go to Starbucks and spend $13 on a mocha espresso or whatever it is they drink.
You don't think they'd be interested in helping Democratic senior citizens? I don't know. I think if you've got a heart, you would help these people out. And I'm not talking about you got to be 85. I'm talking about any senior citizen.
Yeah.
That's retired that was scammed out of money.
Yeah.
Pay them back.
Yeah, well,
prove it.
Everybody'd have to prove that you've been scammed out of money. And if there's usually these things have one, like a single interest group. I got to tell you got a great senator in Ron Johnson. I hope that, I don't know if you like him or not, but
I do. I like him.
But I think he's one of the better representatives up on Capitol Hill, and He's a no-nonsense guy. He's a good, Midwestern, Wisconsin guy, common sense, which isn't very common, but he's one of the good guys. And it's a very interesting idea that you've raised, Don, and you just had a nationwide platform to make your recommendation, make your suggestion. So I'm glad that's why we're here.
If they can, like Biden can just make an executive order to pay student debts back off.
Right.
Those kids got the rest of their life to make that money up. These senior citizens do not have the rest of their life to make this money up. They'll never make it back.
Yeah.
They'll never make it back.
Yeah, you're right. And the Biden student debt scam, which was one of the biggest scams, one of the biggest ripoffs in the history of the world, really, really was. And I got to tell you, you're right. You make a good case, some good points. You should also, I don't know if you mentioned Senator Kennedy, but you should hit up his office and say, hey, you've already contacted Ron Johnson and others, and you said Scott Fitzgerald, not F. Scott Fitzgerald, but Scott Fitzgerald, your representative, I guess, and isn't that fascinating? And how many dollars? It's just unbelievable. $188 billion here in student debt forgiveness, and another $700 billion over here. And these guys, they just steal like it's going out of style. And you're right. And John Kennedy has laid out a lot of it. And the Republicans should be laying out all over the place what the Democrats want to spend our money on for free circumcisions in Africa and AIDS treatment for everybody all over the world. I got to tell you, the Democrat Party, and you wonder why we're $37.5 trillion in debt. It doesn't take too long to explain that. Don, great stuff. And, my buddy Don, we went to the same junior high school, sister high schools, and then we met up again in Santa Barbara. We've been friends ever since I was a teenager. And Don lives in Milwaukee, and he loves it Milwaukee. Great stuff. Don, thank you very much for the. Oh, look at the good Lord! Look what I've done to the clock again. It's unbelievable. These days go by so fast, so fast, so fast. Completely ridiculous. All right, what do we have? We've got some good audio remaining. I think we're going to have time to get to it. That remains to be seen. From handcrafted, beautiful steaks to delicious fall favorites, Omaha Steaks delivers the world's best steak experience. And now, during their semi-annual sale at Omaha Steaks, you can get 50% off their entire website at omahasteaks.com. Plus, our listeners, because we're friends, get an extra $35 off with the promo code PLANT at checkout. There's an E on the end. Nobody knows why. P-L-A-N-T. Listen, my best girl and I, we love the filet mignons from Omaha Steaks, and we cook them up in my grandfather's iron skillet, get them a nice crispy char around the edges, just beautiful. And right now is the perfect time to stock up on the exceptional handcrafted flavor and convenience of Omaha Steaks. They also carry mouth-watering burgers and chicken and pork and seafood and delicious desserts, too. You can bring home the legendary flavor and everyday convenience of Omaha Steaks. Just visit omahasteaks.com for 50% off the entire website, site-wide, during their semi-annual sale. And for another $35 off at checkout, use the promo code PLANT. That's 50% off at omahasteaks.com and an extra $35 off the promo code PLANT at checkout. Terms apply. See the website for details. Omaha Steaks. Now I'm hungry again. Hey, I haven't gotten my shipment of Omaha Steaks. What's going on with that? All right, tick, tick, tick. It's election day. Have you done your civic duty? The clock is ticking out loud like Marissa Tomei's biological clock. The time is now. Vote, vote, vote.
We found $3.6 million for pastry cooking classes for male prostitutes in Haiti. I kid you not. I'm not making this up. It was in the budget. We took it out.
The Democrats, they like political violence. There's another story today in Politico. America is bracing for political violence, and a significant portion think it's sometimes okay. A majority of Americans think that it's likely that a political candidate will be assassinated in the next 5 years. That seems entirely realistic. There is a U.S. Senator from Montana named Tim Sheehy. And Tim Sheehy got a voicemail a while back for a Democrat running for the city council, the city commission, they call it there, in Helena, Montana. And she's a Democrat, of course, a self-described liberal. And her name is Haley McKnight. Haley McKnight left this voicemail on Republican Senator Tim Sheehy's voicemail.
Hi, this is Haley McKnight. I'm a constituent in Helena, Montana, and I just wanted to let you know that you are the most insufferable kind of coward and thief. You just stripped away health care for 17 million Americans, and I hope you're really proud of that. I hope that one day you get pancreatic cancer and it spreads throughout your body so fast that they can't even treat you for it. I hope that you die in the street like a dog. One day, you're going to live to regret this. I hope that your children never forgive you. I hope that you are infertile. I hope you never manage to get a boner ever again. You are the worst piece of shit I've ever had the misfortune of looking at. And you don't serve Montanans. You serve your own private interests. All that you have done since you've gotten into power is do for yourself. God forbid that you ever meet me on the streets because I will make you regret it. You. I hope you die.
Signed, Haley McKnight. She'd like your vote for the city commission in Helena, Montana. She's looking forward to a bright future in politics as a Democrat. And it kind of goes with this story America's bracing for political violence. These are the people that are running for office and being elected under the Democrat banner. Isn't that amazing? And a significant portion of Americans believe that there will be a political assassination in the United States, a candidate assassinated in the next 5 years. I'm not sure I'd make the timeline that long, but isn't that great? So and that's Montana. She should be expelled from the state. She should be forced to move to Chicago or something. What do you think? Maybe Baltimore. I don't want her living in Washington, D.C., but if she did, she'd fit right in.